Hello, my name is Ilona and today is Monday, September 25th, 2023 and we have survived September 23rd and September 24th. There was so much going on, so many things were going to happen, or I'm not even sure what exactly was going to happen, but the entire time I didn't get that feeling that something drastic was going to happen. So I never looked at it. I was like, if things happen, they'll happen. I kind of, a lot of people were asking me about this date and I just kind of wanted to step away from the dates. Like, you don't have to look at these dates. We need to move away from that because in a way it is programming. But, it's creating fear. A lot of people are like, well, what's going to happen? They're focusing on that. And a lot of our energy is that in that way being used for something completely different. And we are also programming at the same time. What we focus on, in essence, we are programming. So I do believe a lot of things happened energetically. So in the energy, things have changed. We, of course, also moved into fall. But I just, last night, I was wide awake in the middle of the night. And to me, that is always a sign that energetically, a lot of things are happening. So I do believe there are changes coming, because if the energy changes, everything around us will change. I believe energy is the basis of all change in the world. So I do believe a lot of things are changing or have changed, but nothing dramatic happened, at least not in my life. Maybe somewhere else in the world, I'm sure something happened, but not as dramatically that I got the feeling from all these messages that was going to happen on September 23rd. So to be very honest, I think it is time to move away from these dates and looking at it. But I'm making an exception because, again, I'm getting the October 4th and and October 11th. Apparently something's going to be broadcasted in America, and this could have an effect around the world. And you have to watch out with your mobile and things like that. So I'm now getting questions about that. What's going to happen October 4th? Could you look at that? And I'm just, to be very honest, that's why I really don't like looking at it, because the feeling I'm getting is like, it's the same I had with September 23rd and 24th. I didn't think anything was going to happen. And of course, there are so many, people with different opinions. And I was actually wanted to just get away from the dates. We need to stop focusing on that. Stop creating alongside with that. And again, that's why I'm making this exception here on October 4th. I'm getting so many messages. So I'm like, really, I'm going to take a look at it, just see the cards. To be very honest, I don't feel like something drastic is going to happen or something, awful is going to happen. There are many sides to it. So always look what resonates with you. If you feel like you want to turn off your appliances and your mobile, do it. Of course, maybe in America you should or not, that's up to you. But there was a clip sent to me that I think it had to do also with broadcasting the 5G. Something like that. I'm not really sure what's going to happen, but they're going to start a broadcast system, and this could have an effect on people on the 5G. And to be very honest, if they wanted to do that, they could have done that tomorrow or today. Really, why October 4th? It is part of the programming. Also, if it doesn't work out, it's going to be October 11th, which I find very strange. Why not October 5th? If you start on October 4th and apparently something's not working out, why not on October 5th? Why wait a week? It's very strange to me. And I just feel like it brings in a lot of fear. And like I mentioned before, they live off fear. The dark energies need fear. And especially in the independent media, stories like this work really well for people because, of course, they are distrustful of the dark energies. And it depends on your perspective if you still believe they have full control or not. But it can be terrifying if they're going to do something on an experiment or whatever. And that's what they're working with, because in a way this is programming. You're focusing on the date. You're bringing in a lot of energy, low energy, fear energy. They can work with that. And by focusing on that, you are actually creating it yourself. It's the self-fulfilling prophecy. maybe you can even make yourself sick or heal yourself just by the thought and by the focus of your energy. And of course, if they bring out this story, people are going to focus on it. And I just want to mention that I'm not talking about the person that actually brought out this story. It's very possible that that person has good intentions. Maybe there is a point to it. Maybe it is important to warn everyone. I'm going to just, feel and see if it resonates with you. Make your own decision. To be very honest, I've heard about it. I just didn't have any feeling with it. Like, usually I feel something, bubbling in me, or something in my stomach, certain, this feeling, a gut feeling. And in this time, just with September 23rd and 24th, I just had like I don't think anything is really dramatic is going to happen. That was the feeling I was experiencing. But I wanted to take a look at this because I've noticed, and I'm sure people will ask me, more and more people will start asking when we are working towards, of course, October 4th. It's going to be here next week, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it's going to be. So I just wanted to be ahead of that. And after that, I'm really not going to be looking at a date unless I really truly feel that it's important that I look at it. And I usually have a gut feeling about that. But in this case, it's more like I don't think a lot of things are going to happen or something drastic is going to happen. But I could be wrong. The cards I've got, this is interesting. The 6 of Wands for October 4th. The 8 of Wands as the central card. I've got the Justice card in the past. I've got the Chariot underneath the 8 of Wands. And I've got the 2 of Swords and the 10 of Pentacles. And to me this feels like, I don't think people are really going to really notice with the 2 of Swords. They're like, a lot of people are now focused on the date. But to me it feels like it's probably just going to pass by. They're probably going to use something or do something, but it's not going to have the effect that a lot of people think it's going to have. But it's going to create stability, because this is the interesting part. I've got 3 very good cards here. And I understand that this broadcast is going to be done by an organization known for being dark, but it's also possible that most of it has already been taken over, because I see a victory. I see fast moving energies, and I see moving away, taking over control and moving away. And I do not get a negative feeling with this, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if they are really just checking what they say they are checking, because that's necessary for the next phase. And that it will work out. They're going to see if there are still some hiccups with that. So to me, this feels more like that the white hats will take over and see how this is going to work out. But ultimately, by doing this, by putting this in motion, people will be able to take control and move in a different direction. That's the feeling I'm getting. So I do believe something will happen, but I don't believe something awful that's going to happen. It's more like checking things and putting things in perspective. So to me, this feels like I felt before, I don't think something awful is going to happen, but use your own discernment. If you feel like you need to, unplug your appliances and your mobile, do it. Because you should follow your own feelings and emotion in that. I also want to focus again, if you very fearful about these messages, that you read something and you get scared, you're like, oh, something awful is going to happen. Look at that fear. Someone's driving by, making a lot of noise. Look at that fear and feel through it. Because then you'll be healing things. Something comes up, it's still in your energy. Maybe you're fearful for everything, but really work through it. So then after that, you'll be able to make choices from strength, from a position of strength. By focusing on that fear and actually, only talking about that fear and something's going to happen, what's going to happen, you are focusing outside and you are creating that situation. You are working along with that. And I think we need to take responsibility of where we focus our energies on, because our energies is what creates everything ultimately, especially when we combine that. So you have a lot of people that are fearful about October 4th. There is a chance something's going to happen because of that fear that is creating that. So we really need to heal ourselves, look inside ourselves if fear comes up, that we are able to heal through that. Because if we do that, we can make, choices from strength. We won't be dragged away, be manipulated like that, and we will be, we will be able to make choices that are beneficial to ourselves. So we can really, we should unplug the appliances, for instance, on October 4th. Or you're like, no, nothing's going to happen. I don't have to focus on this. So this is something we need to really look at. The second thing I've talked about in my Dutch video, and I have to get 2 cards from this, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, is about the farmers here in the Netherlands. I do know that a lot of people also outside of the Netherlands want to hear about this, other countries, what is going on with the farmers. So I looked at the energy of the farmers right now. And 2 things I've noticed today. I actually looked something up that is a court case that is about releasing information that has to do with phosphate rights. That is also in a way connected to nitrogen, although they are 2 different rights. But there is a farmer who started a court case that wanted the ministry, of course, that has all these information to be released, because he doesn't believe that they are given rightfully, and he wants to actually, how do you say that? In Dutch we call it nietig verklaren. So he in a way wants to make sure that those rights should have never been given. So kind of destroyed in a way, but that's not the correct word. I'm sure you have a legal term that actually is that the agreement was never made to begin with, an annulment in a way, but then serious situation is of course that everything will fall apart, and that will have an effect of course on the climate and the nitrogen. So it should all fall apart. So he's working on that, and he's finally gotten from the judge that the ministry now has to release it. There have been some farmers that actually went against that. They don't want certain information released. So it's very interesting that there are some farmers actually working against that in a way, although maybe they have some information they really don't want to get out, but most of the information will come out, and the farmer is like, well, I'm at least in the right direction, and this will most likely help me to make sure that all these rights that are given that concern phosphate, that he can tear it apart, so to speak. So they will have to start completely over. I'm sorry about this, but they're doing something to the streets, making so much noise here. And I really don't want to start over the video again, because I have a feeling that they'll be coming back for a while, for a few times then. I think they're cleaning up the streets, which is a good thing, obviously. But, so that's going on. There's a court case, and he's now continuing. The other thing that I also noticed was another article. Unfortunately, they're both Dutch articles. It's, of course, about the Dutch farmers. This was the people that were getting together on the 27th, I think, on June. They actually got together in The Hague, but they were completely blocked on every way. And now this information came out. The ministry had to come out with this that shows that the mayor of The Hague, the head of the parliament, who kind of controls the parliament in a way that she decides who speaks and who doesn't speak. She's not, I'm not maybe compared to the Speaker of the House, but she's, I'm sorry, I'm kind of confused. I've slept, barely slept tonight, but it doesn't really matter. Her name is Vera Bergkamp, and she is usually making sure everyone gets to speak. She kind of, she has kind of a control over the parliament. Maybe you can compare her to the Speaker of the House. In a way, she kind of got together, and they just came up with this. So they made sure that the farmers couldn't get in there. They made sure that, of course, the tractors weren't allowed in, and they used or abused their powers in a way, pretty much. And so that's been confirmed. So they're trying to get, of course, a court case about that as well, but they've pushed that aside. Of course, they're trying to get, this court case, or at least this talking about what's been happening, they try to push it, that it will be after the voting. They obviously don't want this to influence people in how they look at certain parties and who are in control. But the Farmers Defense Force that are part of farmers, they're a group of farmers actually fighting against this. They're going to try to get this court case working anyway before that voting. But it's very interesting. So these cases are moving along. This is coming out. Wouldn't surprise me if more is coming out. But it shows the complete change in if the climate activists are running around and closing a highway to when farmers actually want to speak out. This is completely different ways. But for the activists, they're very kind. The police is very polite. But to the farmers, they're awful to the farmers. And they're purposely done by the politicians and the mayor. They're working together to completely destroy this. And it's now being shown. And I think that's very important. The cards I've got, first of all, is the Knight of Cups. Something is given of like this material now coming out, this official document. We've got Judgment card in the central card. We've got the Magician in the past. And we have the Hanged Man underneath the Judgment card. And we have the 8 of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune. I believe it was like this in the original reading in my Dutch video. These are movements, card of movement. So I think especially speed, a lot of movement. Things are going to move. So something is given now. It's moving in the right direction, so to speak. This is waking up people. Also farmers. I do believe a lot of farmers understand what's going on and the government, all their agendas, they just want to get rid of farmers. They want to do that worldwide. But it's kind of standing still right now. Like what's really going to happen now? What procedures they're going to do? It's right now. It feels like not much is happening. Although, like I said, things are moving along. And I have to say, I really had to look for that court case with the farmer against the phosphate rights. Because I could barely find anything in the media about that. It's very interesting. So they're keeping quiet about that. And the other thing came out on an article in more independent media about how horrible farmers have been treated when they wanted to speak out and stand up for themselves. Things are moving in the right direction. Wheel of Fortune. I think this is going to catch speed and a lot of things are going to happen. I think the farmers will really see movement happening. I think people will get together, standing strong. This will just bring the farmers together. And I think a lot of people are going to see more and more. It will not only wake up more farmers, but also more people in the Netherlands. What's really going on, how different they treat people that stand up for their right to say something. Like I said, the climate activists are pretty much almost like, handed out towels when they're sprayed with a little bit of water. While against the farmers, it is awful. If I'm not... I've spoken about this a boy in another time when they were standing up that was shot at. He was 16. Actually, the cop got, if I'm not mistaken, trialed for that as well, because it was awful that happened. And that's how they treat farmers. So farmers working hard, doing everything they can to feed us, they are completely pushed to the side. And those climate activists, and of course you can have your own opinion about that, but they are free to block a highway, to do all kinds of things, and people barely do anything about that, or the police has the instructions not to do that much. And it's very interesting that you see the difference now, and it's now coming out. Things are going to move fast. I think we're going to hear a lot of about the farmers and of the farmers. It's putting things in motion. It's going to start rolling now. So this is very interesting. That's the information I got from this card reading. Hope to see you in another one. Bye.